I'm gonna show you how to build these cool interactive effects using our upcoming plugin, WP Interactions. WP Interactions helps you make any website interactive using the block editor. When I say interactive, this includes animations and effects, but it also goes further than visuals and dives into functionality as well. So let me show you. First, let's try and dissect how this animation works. So, whenever you hover over these three buttons over here, you can see the heading changes. This area over here contains three headings, one at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. So it looks like this. When I hover over each of the buttons, the whole thing just moves up and down. So now it's in this position. And then when I hover over this one, it goes up. And that's how the whole effect works. And then for the other buttons, you can see that the heading text changes color and also the body background. And then when I mouse out of it, the heading and the background changes back to normal. But when I hover over the next button, the text becomes white and the background becomes black, but everything is permanent, even if I put my mouse out of the button. So how did I do this? So here's my setup. So I have here three headings that are stacked vertically. With the help of some utility classes, you'll see that these headings are all hidden. And then if I change the class, you'll see them back in again because they're not anymore absolutely positioned. So let's start creating our interactions. Right now, I don't have anything. I just have some buttons over here. So let's start creating the second heading interaction. So if I click on the button, you'll see that the toolbar is here and there's a new button that says add interaction to block. So if I click on this, I can add a new element interaction. So triggers can be a click or your mouse hovering over this or a CSS class change or an attribute change or even a keyboard event. So let's try and click here the mouse hover. So as you can see now this panel on the left, on the right opens up. So right now we are editing a new mouse hover interaction. So let's first put in the name. Now this panel over here says on hover actions. So this is the area where we put in the actions that occur when we hover over this button. So if I click on the plus button, we'll see all of the available actions that we can add. So actions range from visual transitions like sliding or fading in. You can also change colors, toggle CSS classes or attributes, and then also navigating and dispatch events. You can also fetch data using REST APIs or webhooks, and you can also get some post content, render shortcodes, or even update and get post meta. So for now, let's just do the move. This action allows you to move a block left or right, up or down, or in 3D. So for now, what we want to do is to grab this block over here and then make it scroll upward. So you do that by changing the Y attribute or the Y parameter to -100, let's say. And then by default, this action gets applied to the interaction trigger. But the interaction trigger is the button. So what we want to do is to change this so that the Y movement gets applied to another block. You can also do classes or CSS selectors, but for now, we can use and target this block. I picked block, and now I can use this target button over here to help choose the block that we want the move action to get applied to. So now I can choose a block. I can choose it from over here. So I can also use the list view over here to click on the block. And then just select block, and now I have selected the block. So you also have some additional settings over here, such as you can set this position as the starting state. You can change the starting time, duration, and easing. Let's change the easing for now. So that's done. To view this, let's publish. And then since the group block over here got a new block anchor, so it's asking now for us to also save those changes. So yes, and now we can head over to the front end, do a refresh. And now we can see that hovering our mouse over here moves up the heading 100 pixels up, and that shows us the second heading. But the other buttons aren't working yet. So let's start and try doing the other interactions. So to do that, to make things easier for us, let's just click on this first and then do a copy, and then you'll see here copied one action to clipboard. So let's start creating the show third heading interaction. So as we did a while ago, let's click on this block and then add a new interaction. Click on mouse hover, change the name, and then to paste, we can click on this timeline because we want to paste in here, and then Command V or Control V, and then now we pasted the action. We just change the values to -200, make it higher. So we just need to publish this. And then in the front end, now we can hover over the second heading and the third heading. Switch back to the second. But the first one isn't working yet, so let's start doing that again. Same process. But now the value should be 0. And now in the front end, now everything's working. First heading, second, third, and then go back to first. Now for the next one, color blue, we already have it working. So if I mouse over, it turns the background to blue and then the heading into white. But if I mouse out, it goes back to the colors. So how did we do this? If I go back here, you'll see all of the interactions that we currently have. And if I mouse over the interactions, you'll see that there's an outline in the color blue button. So this means that this interaction over here is triggered by the color blue button. So if I click on this, I will start editing the interaction. And now in our timeline, you'll see that I have two actions that are happening. So I have a text color change that happens on the class WP block heading, which is a class that's shared across all native heading blocks. And I also have a background color change to blue for the CSS selector body, which is the document body. So what happens here is that at 0 seconds, this one triggers. At 0.5 seconds, this one triggers. So if you want to change the timing, you can just click on the time. So we can make this into 2. And then this makes it that this triggers after 2 seconds. So let's try that out. So if I hover over here, it makes the heading white. And then after 2 seconds, it makes the background blue. There. Another way to change the time is through dragging. So you can click and drag on this, the action, and then you can drag it around. If I drag it on another action, you'll see that the two get snapped together, which means that both actions get executed at the same time. So let's try that. So now if I hover over blue, it changes both at the same time. Now for the hover out, you can see that I also have actions over here, but now this changes the color to black and then the background gets changed to white. Now let's add the interaction for the color black, because right now this doesn't work yet. To make things easier, let's click on this action first and then this other one by holding down shift so we can copy the two actions to our clipboard. Now we can click on the color black button and then add another interaction on hover. So let's change the name and then paste. And now for the background color, let's just change it to black. And then for the text color, it's still white. So just hit on publish. And now the interaction should work. If I hover my mouse over the other buttons, they all still work. And then when I go to color blue, it changes color. Lastly, I just want to show you the page interactions. If you click on this button over here, you'll see the page interactions that are available to you. So these are interactions that get triggered when something happens in your page. Things like when the page loads, when you're scrolling, when the mouse moves, or even when a form is submitted, or something in the page state changes. That's it for the sneak peek and update. If you find WP interactions at all interesting, please consider signing up for the beta release, which we will be holding in a few weeks. Please visit wpinteractions.com and sign in from there.